Well, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control, each year the flu kills about 36,000 Americans, sending another 200,000 to the hospital. But for most, the flu usually just brings fever, headaches, and pains that can make life miserable for days. Yet this year, such symptoms seem almost insignificant to the threat health officials believe could be developing right now in Asia, a virulent supervirus that challenges our immune system and to date has no cure. Under a microscope, it's only a tiny ball covered with knobs and bumps and hardly worthy of its reputation as a mass killer. Yet scientists warn that the flu strain H5N1, known as avian flu, could be as deadly as nuclear war. Originating in the Far East, the poultry virus kills more than half of all infected, and so far that's been just those in Asia that have come into direct contact with infected birds.
I think it's important to emphasize, however, that there is no evidence at this time that H5N1 virus that's currently circulating in Asia is in the U.S., either in birds or humans. Again, no evidence that it's in birds or humans in the United States at this time.
But scientists fear it's only a matter of time before the virus mutates and becomes transmittable from human to human, making avian flu just an airline flight and a cough away. Such an outbreak has happened before. In the waning days of World War I, an influenza epidemic swept the globe, killing 50 million people and triggering an international panic. And just as then, today's avian flu has no known cure, only control.
As a primary safeguard, APHIS maintains trade restrictions on the importation of poultry and poultry products from all affected countries. Our Customs and Border Protection colleagues have been alerted and are vigilantly on the lookout for any poultry or poultry products that might be smuggled into the U.S. from any of the affected countries.
Well, if there is an upside to the fears over avian flu, it's public awareness about the dangers of more ordinary strains of the flu. Lines have been long this year, with Americans even getting their flu shots in their cars. Even so, healthcare workers know there's only so much that can be done against the virus that can mutate endlessly, circumventing our body's attempts to stop it.
There are over 700 strains of flu. The flu shot covers for the most prevalent ones of the years in the past. And so when you get the flu shot, you can still get the flu, but you will not get the variant of the flu shot, but it does help you cut down that duration and the severity of any type of flu.
So while a specific vaccine for avian flu has yet to be approved, drugs like Tamiflu have proven effective in lessening the symptoms and keeping this virulent strain of the flu from being so deadly. Well, in addition to the health threat, avian flu also is having an economic impact. Since July, the lethal strain of flu has been found in 5 more countries, bringing the total to 15. Our Brian Bindley is following the financial side of this disease and joins us now here in our Career Tech studios.
Well, since its discovery in Asia, avian flu has been responsible for the deaths of over 150 million birds. Many of these culled in an attempt to stop the virus's spread. Estimates of poultry losses worldwide have already topped $10 billion. And when you consider that in Oklahoma, poultry production accounts for close to $500 million each year, this is a threat the industry is taking very seriously.
Avian influenza, or bird flu, can kill birds of all types. The United States Department of Agriculture, Animal, Plant Health and Inspection Service has plans to keep avian influenza from affecting the U.S. poultry supply.
There were 9 Asian countries affected, and now it's in fact spread to other countries in Europe, China, even Turkey. If we assume that migratory birds carry the virus, then we have to have good procedures in place. One, to prevent it from getting into the poultry house, good biosecurity on the farm, as well as good surveillance.
Something poultry producer Randy Allen from Jay, Oklahoma practices with his 3 chicken barns.
If you keep them healthy, they're not going to get sick. The only threat of having a major problem with disease is coming in from the outside. As a farmer, we try to, if we know if there's a problem in the area or another farm, we tried to avoid going to that place, or and ensure don't let anybody come from there to here.
APHIS officials say if avian flu does break out in the United States, there are plans to deal with the affected flocks.
If we do have an avian influenza outbreak, we would quickly put in place an emergency response organization. We would impose movement controls, and then we would quickly work to destroy those flocks that were affected by the virus. We also have a vaccine bank available. We've got some 40 million doses of avian influenza vaccine that are available.
Nonetheless, an outbreak could still be devastating to the 63,000 chickens that Allen cares for.
If it did get spread to over here, and I don't know how hard it is to control. I don't know if our biosecurity measures would take care of the problem. But the way I understand it, it would be devastating. As far as I read about millions of chickens being killed because try to eradicate and kind of control this disease over there. Yeah, that'd be tough, for the farmers and the industry.
USDA has experience dealing with avian influenza outbreaks, with the largest one being in 1983 and 84.
With outbreaks in both Pennsylvania and Virginia. At the end of that situation, which took nearly 2 years to eradicate, 17 million birds were destroyed.
Currently, there are no cases of avian influenza within the United States. But if anyone suspects a case, they should contact their State Department of Agriculture.
Symptoms producers should look for within their flock are decreased food consumption, coughing, sneezing, and a decrease in egg production, and also sudden deaths in the flock.
So, Brian, why are we seeing all these cases in Asia and, say, not here?
Well, Rob, there are 15 different strains of avian flu, the most prevalent being H5N1, which has been recorded with death loss. Now, in those cases, the humans were found to live in close proximity to the birds that were infected, which is something you don't find in the U.S.
If we're talking about proximity to animals, that almost seems like that's a sanitary condition. So are producers here in this country, are they concerned about that because we don't do it here?
Well, certainly, but because many of the large producers keep their flock in climate-controlled buildings away from their homes, as well as practicing safe sanitary measures between barn to barn, they're less likely to spread and contract the disease.
So for those of us that are rarely ever around poultry, should we be concerned?
Well, yes. Let me give you an example. If someone who already has the human flu strain comes in contact with the bird flu could then mutate into a new human flu strain that we have no vaccine for, and then could spread from person to person.
Why don't we have a vaccine for this?
Well, there's just not enough information. Unfortunately, there haven't been enough cases for scientists to come up with an effective vaccine. And if a pandemic does occur, we may not have the ability to produce enough vaccines for everyone in time.
All right, Brian, appreciate you following this story.
Thank you.